La gente, ¿cómo están? Bueno, el día de hoy, chicos, continuamos con el mismo... Con la misma misión de Monster Hound de buscar al niño que nos falta, pero... Bueno, y tuvimos una suerte que yo creo que pocos tienen, la verdad. Encontrar un Yangaruga, digamos, es dificilísimo. O sea, bueno, para mí, por lo menos. Ese es el detalle. Por lo menos para mí, yo nunca he tenido un gran Yaruga, y menos he tenido un gran Yaruga, digamos, con ese olor. Generalmente salen repetidos, salen muchos repetidos, la verdad. Está acá, ¿no? O sea, se escucha llorar. La suertecita que tuvimos, ¿no? Y salió con olor buenísimo y peso normal.
Phew! Looks like we found them all, buddy.
I'm glad the children are all right. Thank you for your help, Ryder. You too, Owen.
Ruto children get lost fairly often. Red used to help me look for them too.
Wow! Searching for lost children with Red, huh? I gotta say, you're a much more considerate guy than I thought, Owen.
Now that reminds me.
Huh?
My papa once told me an unforgettable story of how he got lost in the forest and how two people protected him.
Ah, la historia de él, ¿no?
Hello?
No,
Any
no.
little lost felines here?
Wonder where they got to.
They sure are a handful. There's a monster nearby. Careful, it's an Arzuros. Looks agitated too.
Not just that. I get the feeling there's something else. There's gotta be a reason it's all riled up. The fight!
Ah, tiene cría.
I get it. You were only trying to protect your kid. Don't worry. We're not here to hurt you.
Phew! That was awfully close.
Aha! There you are. What have you been doing all this time?
We just wanted to get a little honey, but that Arzuros got mad at us, and she's been on our tails for the last 3 days.
Well, you didn't get hurt, so I guess all's well. Come on, let's get you home.
Red, how could you tell the monster had a cub?
Simple. I heard the monster's voice.
The monster's voice?
Oh, qué locura.
You really are strange.
So Red could actually hear what monsters were saying? Sounds like my buddy's grandpa was a real character.
Everybody get back! It's a monster!
Mira, pero es muy grande porque para que suene de esa forma. Ahora, ¿qué será esto? No tengo idea. Hay tantos tipos. O sea, yo creo que atraparlos a todos es muy difícil. Uno creo un Durambroso que hace un miaustonte como este, un sitio como este. Yo estoy igual de sorprendido, pero lo peor es que podría herir a los niños. Tenemos que plantarle cara. Ahora, este debe ser agilidad, porque generalmente cuando son así de grandes es agilidad. Y la verdad que yo, como ya estoy un poco aprendiendo, o he aprendido un poco más, digámoslo así, voy a usar el martillo, porque si le pego con el martillo le puedo romper ciertas partes del cuerpo. Y yo creo que me voy a ir primero por la cola, yo creo. Ahora es duro, no voy a decir que no. Ahora me lo podría matar. Y lo va a curar, así que todo bien. Es súper duro, o sea. No voy a decir lo contrario porque es sumamente duro. Pero este que tenemos acá, digamos, le hemos mejorado la genética, es bastante. Aguanta bastante, la verdad. El Kudu Yaku, digamos. O sea, yo solo, claro, yo solo he logrado romperle casi toda la cola, digamos. Aunque es duro, ¿ah? Súper duro. Ahora le bajo la mitad de la... Ya, le bajo la mitad de lo que... Pero igual definitivamente el martillo está hecho para romper la coraza. Definitivamente. Hay que romper todas las piezas, pero no. Y acá los turnos dan lo mismo, porque en realidad... Bueno, lo rompimos antes la cola. Que antes nunca había podido hacer eso yo solo, digamos. Poder romperle una parte... muy lento. No va a lograr. Ahora, yo ya tengo el poder, podría tirármelo, pero voy a esperar. Voy a guardármelo para atacarlo, para atacar juntos. Realmente, como dije, el martillo está hecho para romper las partes. Prefiero mil veces guardarlo y esperar y atacar juntos que atacar solos. Pero ya está cagado ya. El martillo es perfecto para romper para los monstruos grandes. El martillo es perfecto. O sea, ya le rompimos todas las corazas. O sea, todo el daño que entra ahora es daño directo, ¿no? Y le pegué 220, o sea, tampoco le pegué poco. 400 junto con él. Ahora, él no va a guardar el poder, él lo va a tirar, ¿no? Ahora no sé realmente... o sea, fue una S, ¿no? Igual estuvo bien, para ser tan fuerte. Sacar una S, muy bien. Pues es una pena que yo no sepa escuchar a los monstruos como el viejo Red. Tendrás que trabajar tendrás que trabajar con empeño para aprender los trucos de lo bueno. Y hemos estornido de vuelta a la aldea. Ahora, si vemos, o sea, si nos fuéramos a la enciclopedia de monstruos y nos fuéramos, digamos, a este y viéramos las piezas, igual nos falta una. Y yo sé que yo rompí todas las corazas y lo saqué en ese. O sea que probablemente... no sé, probablemente... La verdad que no sé, pero no sé cómo conseguir todas las piezas de un monstruo en esto. Porque, por ejemplo... Dice bonus, partes desprendidas, ¿no? Y me muestra eso, o sea, como que... Ya tengo el bonus, se supone, pero hay una parte que no he sacado, que no sé cuál será. Eso es lo único. Lo único que no sé. Tendría que verlo, como dije. Tendría que chequear y realmente verlo. Ahora vamos a ver lo de los huevos. Porque tengo, o sea... Tengo el presentimiento de que no fue bien, la verdad. Y eso que no hemos estado buscando muchos huevos, la verdad. Los voy a guardar y ver, quiero ver lo de los genes también, que es algo, otra cosa que no hemos visto, o sea... Primero voy a ver lo de los genes para ver si es que valen la pena eso o no. Yo compré, digamos, y no sé. Solo quiero ver. No, por eso guardo, porque no quiero, digamos, perder el... A ver qué me dice. Los jóvenes Rey estuvieron aquí conmigo cuando lo conocí. Rey iba vestido de forma de peculiar, no es más que mucho. La misma ropa que... Cuando conocí a Red, llevaba un atuendo único, una armadura de Buldrome. Creo recordar, sería tan amable de equiparte con ella. Maravilloso. No recuerdo, era una armadura de Buldrome. Que pues ya la completé. ¿En serio? No, una armadura de Buldrome. Esa debe ser la armadura. Esa debe ser probablemente la mejor armadura del juego, ¿no?
Welcome.
Armadura Hana. Una armadura de Buldrome. Garu, Tetuku. Durabroso. ¿Y qué es lo que pedí? O sea, esta ya la puedo crear. Y quiero la que pedía esta. Ah, esta pedía unos insectos raros. Pero esta vale 2400, o sea... Durabroso. Y que la armadura de Buldrome. Ah, pero este es muy fácil de hacer. O sea, me pide nada. En realidad. Podría hacerlo después, porque como dije, voy a ver el tema de los genes, así que por ahora la verdad que no tiene sentido. Lo que te pide es algo muy fácil de hacer, la verdad. Y esto creo que está acá. Entonces quiero ver antes, o sea, a ver, quiero ver lo que les dije, lo de los genes. Usar objetos antirritual. Dice, a ver, en caso de que no puedas desbloquear una ranura de gen subiendo el nivel, te hará falta un objeto estimulante apto para este tipo de monstruo. Ah, ya. Ok, ya entiendo para qué sirve. O sea, es como si quieres reemplazarlo, digamos, ¿no? Quieres darle a este algo, bueno, lo puedes, si te gusta, digamos, el Monster y tú dices, ya, bueno, yo quiero darle algo. Este tiene 4, digamos, 4 genes que comparten la misma. Ahora voy a ir uno a uno esta vez porque quiero ver si es que está bien lo que yo digo. Por ejemplo, este yo había dicho, no me acuerdo cuál había dicho. Un gran chequear. A ver, vamos a chequear de nuevo. Vamos a ir viendo los juegos. Sí. A ver, igual no es tan bueno porque tiene un poder bloqueado. Entonces no es la gran cosa, digamos. ¿Okay? No es lo que esperaba, la verdad, pero bueno. Color genial. Este de acá debería ser este. Este debería ser un Yankutun, debería ser. Yankutun, está bien. Sí, entonces tenemos el que yo dije. Ahora este. Dime. Digamos que no está mal, pero podríamos usar sus genes, yo creo. Ahora, este era normal, si no me equivoco. Sí, este era normal. Y este es el raro, que yo dije que nunca habíamos tenido uno. ¿Ven? Garuga. Este sí no lo tenemos. Ahora, tiene un poder bloqueado. Qué pena. Igual lo puedo desbloquear, digamos. Igual a pesar de que el olor era bueno, pero era ligero, ¿no? Entonces tampoco no es malo para nada. Y no me desharía de él porque no tengo otro, tengo solamente uno. Pero no era lo que esperaba, la verdad, para ser honesto. O sea, este podría deshacerme de él y darle un gen, digamos. O sea, por ejemplo, este. Ahí me faltaría como un poder azul, digamos. Pero no tengo tantos repetidos. O sea, aquí tengo un poder azul en este. Y este no me gusta, así que todo bien. Podríamos usarlo ahí. Es el mismo ataque, ¿no? En teoría. Igual tengo grabado, así que podríamos probar. Lo que hay que hacer es primero sacarlo del equipo, porque si los mantienes en el equipo no. Hay que sacarlo del equipo. Lo va a cambiar nomás. Como dije, este tampoco es que sea la gran cosa, la verdad, este Yangaru, pero. Un P más, digamos un M, un T, que es un T debe ser gigante, supongo. Gen sal en la hierba T. PP y 3 PP y un M y un T, pero bueno, no sé, no es tan malo la verdad, pero tampoco es que sea la gran cosa, como dije. Pero le voy a pasar este gen a este, a ver si logro hacer lo que yo pienso que hace. Creo que funciona de esta forma. Si no funciona de esta forma, me estoy equivocando y no. El que tiene que recibir el gen. Selecciona el monte que hereda el gen. Y selecciona el monte que va a donar el gen, que es en este caso este. Claro, pero te muestra, fíjense, te muestra ahí. Y acá miren, podría tener doble gen. O sea, si le pongo un gen acá, podría tener otro. Si le pongo otro igual, podría tener un doble gen. ¿No? Porque ¿qué más tengo? Tengo este nomás. Prefiero ponerle este, la verdad. Y me va a dar un 120% en ese daño, ¿no? Aumento de daño. Entonces ya tiene 2. Podría tener 3, obvio. sea, yo tengo... Yo creo que puedo darle uno de estos, la verdad que... Yo creo que podría darle uno de estos. Por ejemplo, este tiene... elige el monte que va a donar un gen. Por ejemplo, este va a donar un gen. Podría donar este gen, digamos. Para tener 3, ¿no? Bombardero de fuego, dice. Gen de bola de fuego. Pero bueno, yo prefiero que gane... Prefiero que gane esto. Gen bombardero de fuego es P. Y este es M. No, este es mejor. Y este es M también. Y este es M. Y este es M. Y este de acá es P. M. O sea, tendría puro CM, la verdad. Me conviene, la verdad. Porque esa montura no es tan buena y ya tengo una repetida. O sea, digamos que... Ya tengo esa, ¿ven? Ahora, esta ya tiene 3 tipos de genes. O sea, me faltaría solamente el del medio para canalizarlo. Ahora no tengo, digamos, más, así que da lo mismo. Pero por ahora... Yo pienso que está bastante bien. Este tiene 4, ¿no? Y este tiene 3. Este tampoco está mal, o sea, para nada. Ahora, este tiene que ir en el equipo. Lo que pasa es que el Yangaru que yo tengo es un Yangaru, a mi punto de vista, no tan bueno. No es malo, pero tampoco es fácil conseguirlo, ¿me entienden? Ahora, no sé qué poderes tiene el Yangaru. Entonces lo que voy a hacer es, como a mí el que menos me gusta de todos estos montis es este... Yo pienso que el que menos me gusta de todos estos montis es este. Espérenme un segundo. Ya, a ver, bueno, este a mí, el Bulldrum, la verdad que no es que me encante, porque no es que me... La verdad que no. Así que voy a poner el Yangaru solamente porque me parece un monstruo genial, nada más que por eso. Y tampoco sé qué poderes tiene, así que prefiero que suba de nivel y ya. Pero tenemos por lo menos... O sea, si vemos los genes de los que tenemos, estos, o sea, esto está bien. Yo diría que está bien. Y este está bien, pero le faltan algunos genes, digamos. O sea, no, puede ser neutro, como puede ser el mismo gen, digamos, neutro, o con habilidad, digamos, que podríamos modificarlo definitivamente, ¿no? Pero tendríamos que sacar más monstruos con genes, digamos, porque por ahora no tengo nada repetido. Lo que tenía repetido antes, o sea, digamos que lo eliminé. Acuérdense que por espacio lo eliminé. No debería haber eliminado porque obviamente no sabía qué me iba a pasar, pero bueno, todavía falta mucho para que el juego acabe y para que nosotros terminemos de hacer, digamos, videos, así que no me preocupa tanto por ahora eso, la verdad. Vamos a tener más juegos y de todas maneras, o sea, no es algo... Ahora, los objetos que compré son útiles, pero no sé si tan útiles tampoco, la verdad. O sea, son más o menos. O sea, voy a usar esto solamente como para que equipar, para que el tipo me vea nomás. Y después la venderé, si ahora mismo. Pero... Claro, que te viene bien. Yangaru puede que tenga una habilidad. La verdad que obviamente esta armadura no es la que vamos a usar, pero bueno. No sé qué habilidades tiene, la verdad. Por ahora no se sabe, ¿ven? Por ahora está a nivel muy bajo y no se sabe la habilidad que puede tener. Si tiene una habilidad que me puede servir para trepar, sería genial. Y las misiones... bueno, esto, los golpes críticos y eso y el otro son misiones difíciles, claro. Y eso es bueno, ya lo puedo entregar. Veamos qué pasa.
Well done.
Tenemos las...
My
las-
thanks.
a ver. De no ser por ti los niños estarían perdidos.
Well done.
Ah,
My
gracias,
thanks.
que no tienen niños de... porque es acá. Ok.
I'm glad to see the children return safely. You have our gratitude.
Yeah! We eat jobs like this for breakfast!
You've learned the right of channeling and proven yourself an ally to our village. I believe you can face the Nargacuga.
The Nargacuga!
Ese me falta matarlo.
You're sending us on another quest already? Ugh, you really know how to work your riders.
That's quite enough. There's no need to get snippy with Zellert.
Snippy? Us? Why, I oughta...
Qué pesado el gato.
My apologies, Zellert. We'll set out at once.
Fine. Just have a ton of donuts waiting for us when we get back, okay?
Unbelievable.
Bueno, me cae bien, pero es un hueón. Al menos enseñarnos por dónde se... Es probable que esté en el bosque de Etum, al oeste. Al dejarlo a los niños buen recaudo, descubrieron la identidad del monstruo que los está aterrorizando. Aceptáis la misión de dar la casa poderosa en Nargatuga, abandonáis la aldea. Bueno. Nargatuga es uno que tenemos como misión y que no lo hemos podido... Ni siquiera lo conocemos, así que... Yo creo, lo que yo pienso es que nos tienen que dar misiones... Voy a poner algo que me dé objetos raros, digamos. ¿Cuánto es lo que me queda? Me quedan 32 minutos. Y esto aumenta por 30 minutos. Con huevos de monstruos con genes raros. Esto lo voy a usar en un episodio para buscar huevos, ¿ok? Créanme. O sea, en un episodio vamos a hacer eso, sí o sí. Durambroso. Otro día donde. Esto es algo que. Estos que tenemos, de estos tenemos muchos. Así es que no. Ahora, bueno. Ahora tenemos otra misión, digamos, que no hemos visto. Que bueno, en Nargatuga da lo mismo porque Durambroso, ¿no? Curupe. Ah, no, el Curupe es el que no hemos visto, no es el Nargatuga. Estas ambas son difíciles. Ahora el Durambroso, ¿cuál será el Durambroso? Durambroso. Parece que yo no lo conozco. Curupec. Este es el Curupeco. Curupeco, ¿no? Durambroso. Durambroso. Bosque merodeador. O sea, este está acá. Está en el bosque merodeador. Y ya, podríamos ir ahí. Pero la otra misión decía... Curupeco. El Curupeco ya sabemos dónde está. O sea, sabemos cuál es realmente. El Curupeco es este de acá. Curupeco. Y si vemos el lugar es acá. Vamos por el Curupeco, ¿no? Y después vamos por el otro, digamos. Más que realmente... O sea, como les dije, en algún momento vamos a hacer cacería de huevos, porque quiero hacer cacería de huevos. Pero... por ahora... yo estoy caminando y no voy a ni caminar. Se lo digo así. Debería probar, digo, de todas maneras al que acabo de meterle unos genes y ver qué tal. Ahora no creo que encontremos algo de oro acá. Puede que sí. Ahí me atacó el culo. No sé si necesite. Yo creo que podría usar el martillo. Podría usar el martillo, pero no es tan necesario con este tipo de monstruos, la verdad. Porque se baja muy rápido.
Don't wait. Keep going.
Este es... lo bajamos muy rápido.
Well fought, my friend.
Y creo que era un solo grupeco, o sea, no había... no, creo que era uno nomás. No sé. Durambroso. Ah, son 3 grupecos, ok. Ahora... digamos que... podría haber, digamos, una cueva de oro, tal vez, pero no sabemos, o sea, podría. Pero estos son submisión. Ahora ese G submisión, yo creo que lo complete. Ah, pero ese es el, ya sé cuál es. Acá está el difícil, acá está el que no hemos podido ganarle nunca. Sí, aquí está ese. No hemos podido ganarle, la verdad. Ahora, puedo usar, digamos, a este como para ver qué cuevas hay solamente. Ahora, igual, Curupeco es el que queremos matar, no queremos otro, nada más. El Curupeco. Guardia de balón. O sea, igual te muestran dónde podría aparecerte, así que igual es como medio fácil, digamos, saber dónde podrías encontrar. Ahora, obviamente la cantidad va a variar, eso es algo que que la verdad no se sabe, pero bueno. El juego es buenísimo, la verdad, en serio. Le pega 1000 patadas al otro. Realmente le pega 1000 patadas al otro. Ahora, si quieres juntarlos todos y tener uno de cada uno, son más de 100, creo. Así que, o sea, créanme que vas a necesitar mucho rato. Ahora esto... realmente no sé qué tipo sea. Guardia de Paulumon. Ah, de Polumon, ya, pero es eso. El Polumon es el blanquito con que se infla, ese es el Polumon. Pero es que yo digo, si no es de oro, por lo menos por ahora, si no es de oro no me sirve realmente. No va a salir, o sea, puede que te salga algo mejor, de más que sí. No digo que no, pero no te va a salir con buen olor. Te va a salir con olor más o menos, ¿no? Porque para que te salga con buen olor tiene que ser una cueva de oro. Si no es una cueva de oro, no vas a poder. Ahí está la cueva de cristal. Esa cueva de cristal es la misión. Vamos a usar como arma el martillo. Creo que se va a ir. Ahora igual me gustaría usar al otro, ¿no?
Don't waver. Keep going.
O sea, igual ese pega mucho. El que tengo ahora pega mucho. Ahora igual quiero probar el otro, digamos, ¿no? Nah. Muchos turnos. Me faltaría solamente un curupeco y estaríamos listos. Ahora el tema es que el curupeco, claro, creo que salen 2 o 3 por aquí, o 2, no sé. Hemos visto 2. Generalmente en la entrada aquí siempre hay uno, pero como lo matamos, no sé si esté ahora. Tal vez ni siquiera está. Tendríamos que entrar y salir de la cueva, como para que salga, digamos. Sí, pues las guardias normales son las guardias, digamos, del... O sea, los huevos que... Cuando una guardia tiene un huevo arriba, es porque es de un tipo de dinosaurio, digamos. Entonces... Ahora, si pudiéramos entrar a estas guardias en modo normal, o sea, digamos que sin mi sumisión sería genial. Pero bueno, por ahora... Realmente por ahora no podemos, así que es como que da lo mismo. O sea... No, o sea, aunque repitamos el mapa 50 millones de veces, no nos va a salir una guardia como esta. Voy a entrar y salir solamente para poder sacar el curupeco. Acuérdense que al entrar y salir lo que estás haciendo es resetear el mapa. Podrías también pasar de día a noche, o sea, da lo mismo, o de noche a día. O pasarlo al mismo momento del día y igual cambiaría el lugar, digamos. Ahora, como dije, obtenerlos todos es muy difícil. Muy difícil. No. Ver una cosa. Ya, bueno, vamos a seguir mientras que yo escucho un video, ¿ya?
But then if you go a layer deeper, it also means to basically bolster what your monster can do. You can power up its attacks, you can give it coverage where it otherwise would be quite weak, and of course you can then bolster it that way. So see it as a means to, you can kind of make it as a comparison to like EV leveling your Pokemon. It's like the min-maxing thing. You don't have to do this, you can play throughout the whole game, completely ignore it. But this is a really cool system that this is what's going to keep you playing. This is going to be top part of the game. So don't sleep on this, basically.
Yeah, it's basically, if I was to sum it up, it's like having an ability board in a game where like you're playing any RPG, you can take any ability off of any monster. It's like, yeah, you can take...
Voy a bajar un poco el volumen porque no escucho
So
mucho.
that grid that you can see in the corner, that's like your ability board, but imagine you can just grab an ability from any other monster in the game. But firstly, let's talk about Gene so that you have an understanding.
Well done.
So let's back up.
I'm impressed.
Our favourite cat friend is there, and he's talking about the expedition. Let's not worry about that. By the way, we're not going to cover everything in this video, but this
Por
is
ahora voy a
a
bajar un
practice to get
poco.
you guys up to speed and kind of show you how I would build a monster, and so that you can have an understanding of it. If you want more of an explanation, we're going to have that over on the main channel for you guys to go over and watch all of that stuff. But one of the things that you should really get used to is going into the field guides, and this is where it's going to have a bunch of information about your monsters. If we start off in the Monsterpedia, firstly, you're going to see that right here it's got a bunch of basic stats for how you can build your monsters. So we've got max HP, we've got speed, we've got recovery, we've got crit rate, and this stuff means that you can kind of really spec into what you want to. So this one, maybe you might want to max out the recovery and the HP so that your monster is like way more tanky or something like that. But with, say, something like this Velocidrome, you might want to up the crit rate a little bit and max it out and max out the speed so you're hitting crits a lot of the time and getting your moves off faster, because speed essentially allows you to take your turns faster than other people. If you tab over one more time, you're going to see all of the elemental breakdowns here, and we've got our attack, we've got our different ones, which is fire, water, lightning, ice, and dragon element, and you can see here that
Por crítica este weón pega mucho.
non-elemental one, which is the great
Tiene más PS incluso.
ball-bearing looking one, that shows off that that's going to be the most damaging attack type, and the monster will always default to its
Acá puedes ver
strongest
como la
element
fuerza, digamos, de cada
attack,
uno.
if you get what I'm saying. So
Eso
if
no,
you
no lo
boost
sabía, la verdad.
your like fire attack like super high for some reason, and you've made it overtake your non-elemental damage, then it will just automatically do that. And one really cool thing before we get into like building the monsters is, like, if you spec in a move such as like a one that only takes like 8 kinship points to execute, and you spawn
Este elemental
it, the monster will
está bien,
always
pero este es
automatically
más
do
fuego
that
que
for you rather
elemental.
than doing a like just a basic attack. So that's something to also consider before we really get into it. Then this is where the spice comes in. So these are all the genes. You can see that I've got like 359 unlocked, and there's 398, and there's going to be more added as like DLC comes out and new monsters come in, because they all have their own specific stuff in here. Do you want to talk through like the gene types, and I'll scroll through as you talk through them?
Yeah, sure. So obviously, yeah. So like 26 mentioned, you have the different elements. So your genes will fall within those categories. Now, there's a couple of different things to keep in mind. Obviously, the color dictates the types. You've got fire, you've got water, thunder, ice, things like that. But then on top of that, you'll also have the attack type. Don't forget, you have power, speed, and technical. Power beats technical, technical beats speed, speed beats power. So when you're speccing out your monster, you need to think about both of these things, because you want to bolster the elemental side of things, and you also want to factor in, you know, the types that you ideally want to have good type coverage. So you can see that all these genes fall into different categories. You know, some of the ones we see on screen, you can see they've got a little sort of strongman icon. That is, of course, your power one. We've got a little running man. We've got that. Also, genes come in
Voy a cambiar el arma, yo creo. Voy a
sizes,
usar
much like
martillo.
you would expect if you play Monster Hunter. Attack up small, attack up medium, attack up large, XL. So it goes without saying, XL is better. You can tell that also by the border. Sometimes you'll get these like really, really good hatches and things like that. So this is going to be important, because you're going to sort of want to use this to fill in the gaps in your monsters. And the nice thing is, thanks to this book, because if we didn't have this book, this would be a royal pain. But you can basically just look at it and be like, oh, where does this cool skill come from? And it literally tells you on the right hand side. By compatible monster, it doesn't mean this is the skill you can put into it. That's basically the wording of saying this is the monster that it comes from. So see it as like, I want to find this, look on the right.
Yeah. After a while, you farm so much. Like, after grinding this game, you know which genes, even though there's 398 genes in there, I know where, like, basically every single gene comes from once you actually hit the grind. So you get used to it in no time. If you want to see more information on what that ability does as well, you can press Y anytime on them to see how much it does. So the information that we have here is like,
Hay gente que está muy metida en esto,
it deals light non-elemental damage to all enemies. So this is an AoE attack that does light damage, so it won't do like crazy damage. And that goes all the way up to massive, but heavy is commonly where you're going to set out heavy or medium.
Yo combiné porque
and obviously,
en base a lo que vi,
the heavier the damage attack, the more kinship gauge it usually takes
Ahora,
on that monster as well. So this is what I was talking
este es
about
de
on the
fuego,
right, where it's got that little
prácticamente,
16 there. Normally monsters come in with like about below
lo mejor
like
sería ponerle
20,
fuego.
for their kinship gauge as you get into the battle as well. So if you're playing PvP, it's 15. So if you have an attack that only uses 9, it will automatically use that attack once you come out in like PvP or in like a PvE scenario battle as well. So bear that in mind when you're picking up these attacks as well. And you have passive skills as well. Let me see if I can find one right here. Let me go to non-elemental because you probably can find like self-heal or something like that. So you have passive genes such as self-heal that will heal you after each turn as well. So these are not ones that you have to activate, but then you also have genes that you have to activate as well, which are usually attacks as well. So that's really cool. But let's hop back into the stable. And this is how you get to the rights of channeling. Don't be too scared. Mess around with your monsters as you're building them, and try to figure out all of that stuff as you go through the game. But you need to take your time and build stuff. Yeah, you will be seeing some monsters that you may not know are in the game. I should have said that maybe at the front end of the video. But if you want to avoid like seeing any crazy monsters, then definitely.
Sí, yo creo que voy a cambiar mi arma porque la verdad que creo que el martillo me gusta más.
Video at a later date, but this is the best way that I could show you of like how to build your monsters well, and you should really care about this more towards like the end of the game. But I know some of you guys are gonna start building your monsters throughout
Keep
the
up
game
this
as well,
pace.
so this will be good for you to learn. And I definitely did start messing around with stuff, and it makes your monsters really like OP towards the end. So we're gonna be building a Mizu here because I just want one. I think one of my favourite fated fours monsters out here. But let's explain some of the stuff. And if you were to explain some tips to people straight off the bat, what would it be, Alec?
So I think the first thing you want to sort of do is, when you're looking at the gene map in the corner, you want to ideally look for kind of like an open map, because some monsters have got lots of like padlocks. You can unlock all these slots. Keep in mind, some slots are unlocked just by hitting certain levels, and if that's the case, it'll say like level 15 or level 30.
Keep up this
Whenever
pace.
you see a padlock like this, though, it requires a specific item, which you can then also use to the right channeling mode. So, it doesn't mean to say if a monster has padlocks, you shouldn't use it, but generally speaking, if you just want to like, if you've got, say, 5 of the same monster, and one of them just got a really nice open map, it just means it's a lot easier to start playing with. You can just very easily start just like
Quiero aprender, así que por eso estoy escuchando este
So
video.
I'd say initially just like pick your monster based on the actual monster itself, and then maybe just sort of see which one has the best open layout, and then start using that to assess what you're missing, because obviously you're going to then look at it and be like, alright, what gaps do I need to fill here? And also you want to start thinking about how you can get your power up, because obviously bingo is a really important system to explain this. If you can see, like in this baggy example, you can see that by having things lined up in either vertical, horizontal, or diagonal, you can basically get bonuses, and that applies both based on elemental color and also attack type. So you can see on the top line, you've got a power bingo because it's 3 strong men together, but you can see you've also got a water bingo because you've got 3 blue. So the blue one on this situation goes horizontally and twice vertically. Obviously, if you unlocked it, you have the potential. So this is really where you want to start thinking, right?
Yeah, definitely. So here, this baggy isn't too optimal because you essentially want a strongman bingo and a power bingo both like diagonally and horizontally, and play all the way around. And obviously, as Alex said, there were slots that were locked there as well. So you definitely don't want to mess around with this baggy too much.
Keep it up.
It is quite costly at the moment as you're leveling through the game to unlock these things, but towards the end game you're going to be able to just grab those stimulants, as they call, to unlock the slots that you need, which is really great. So how do you grab a skill? So firstly, I'm going to look at what Mizu is
300
good
de
at.
crítico,
I know he's
solo
water,
porque tiene la armadura
elements,
nada
stuff
más.
like that. But we're going to look at what abilities are inherent innate abilities, is intrinsic abilities. And here we got like Bubble Flurry, so we know that this is a Mizu attack because we don't really see this anywhere else. And we've got Bewitching Bubbles as well, which is one that kind of debuffs the enemy team and does a little bit of damage. And we've got Water Breath, so these are kind of like
Keep up this pace.
Like start
Bread and butter
abilities, bread and butter abilities that you start
Well done.
with.
I'm impressed.
We know that these two are blue, and critical healing is good. synchronize is
Primera vez
good,
que saco-
and self-heal is good, but they're all like large or small. I kind of really want excel or higher abilities. If I wanted to level up this ability, which is another trait that you can do in this game, I would have to grab another Mizu and basically splice that Mizu in to upgrade its inherent abilities, which is really good. But let's go find some water stuff to really just grab and see if we can splice some stuff in and see what things are going on here. So we've got Evasion Instinct. So Evasion Instinct will increases your chances of, if we go here, greatly boosts your evasion chance or evasion at 50% HP or less. So this means that if you're in PvP, there's a chance that the enemy might miss, which is huge in PvP. So if we wanted to grab this ability, all we have to do is click on the monster, and you can see here, as soon as we do this, we'll get a bingo in the right hand, the left hand diagonal corner in the top left there. So that's huge, right? But we can put this into any spot that we wanted to. In Monster Hunter Stories 1, you couldn't move it into any spot, but now you can move it into any spot. So we're going to just throw this in, and we're going to give our Mizu some evasion.
Yep, and you can see, of course, by looking at the right-hand side, you obviously have, for anyone that doesn't remember the numbers, whenever you hover over and you start lining things up, you'll see the power bonus you got. So you'll see that because we've got a bingo of blue, we got a 10% increase to water damage, which is fantastic. And obviously this does increase the more you stack. There are diminishing returns, but basically, if ever you're in a position where you need to, or you're unsure, like, what's this going to be doing? Pay attention to the kind of the channeling results on the right hand side, and that will show you if you're bolstering your element or if you're bolstering your attack type, things like that. So yeah, so already we've got a decent. We've got one bingo, and we've only just started.
Yeah. So there's another evasion skill or like damage skill called Dancer. This increases your like.
Gestiones de fuego, debería ponerle ataques de fuego, ¿me entiendes? Bingos de fuego, ¿no?
Mizu, a speedy boy, slippery and speedy boy with
slippery biscuit
with extra increased attack, and we're going to put this into the top right section, and then now we've got that skill, and that has been taken off a red Kezu, which is very nice. So you've got like an ability of a Kezu. So these are kind of more general skills that we're slotting in, which is really great.
Also important to note as well, just in case people, hopefully you already know this anyway, but just the way I always describe it is think of channeling as Control X to cut and not copy. When you do that and you take that ability from Kezu is gone, no longer exists. So don't suddenly think I'm just copying this ability. If you've been doing that, know that the monster you're taking it from is gone. I'm not going to say what happens to it. I'm hoping it doesn't die, but whatever. Just remember that.
It dead.
You're dead. You're gone. You're gone.
So here's a good opportunity to show off like the leveling ability. So these abilities go up to. You can upgrade them twice. And the way that you do that is grab another Mizu that you can get out there. You can farm off even like basic ones. It doesn't need to be like a rainbow or anything crazy if you just want to grab the basic stuff. Some of the abilities require you to level them up before you can do that. There are places that you can go out into the open world and easily do that to level up your monsters because there's a XP bonus. But all you need to do is grab it and place it on top of the same ability, and there you can level it up. You can actually skip this cutscene by pressing the plus button, even though it doesn't have a notification in the bottom.
Wait, really? Yeah. This whole time I've been sitting here thinking I've been pressing the normal buttons, but just didn't press plus.
So if we go to Water Gene, you're going to see that this has been upgraded, and it tells you what it actually does. So it's kind of vague for some of the stuff, where it says like power and rate. We don't know what power and rate is, but we can guess that it does increase damage and has increased chance to like lower speed or something like that, or essentially that. But some of the ones are just plainly obvious, and they'll be like, oh, it increases the amount of turns that you get, or I don't know, like increases the time or whatever, substantial, greatly increases or substantially increases the amount of health that you get and the damage it does. It will plainly state that, which is pretty good. Yes. So let me show you some examples of other bingos as well, and some other monsters as we go through some stuff. So here you can see this Paolumu's got the grey bingo, which is pretty cool, but it's got also the technical bingo. So this is what you kind of really want to do when you're lining up your skills. You want your attack bingo and you want your skill bingo, your elemental bingo, should I say, more so. So you can get both, and then you want to line that up across the whole grid, which is a bit of a madness. So For me, I haven't optimally done my Teostra, but this guy hits hard. You can see here, this is kind of like a endgame Teostra where I've doubled up my skills. I've got a bunch of like fire bingo popping off, and I've got like a bunch of strength or attack type ones. And with Teostra being a power type is very good, but a lot of the time you kind of want to mix and match skills as well, so you don't necessarily just want to have an attack type.
Se pueden subir de nivel los poderes, que eso que es algo que no sabía, y por eso estoy viendo el video porque necesito aprender.
The enemy that you're playing against, or have that ability to win those head-to-heads, because if you've just got an attack, it's going to be super telegraphed and they're going to go.
Ahora él mezcla solamente un color.
Definitely build towards that as well. And as I said,
que probablemente yo no lo he hecho.
Of the actual icon, you can see if they're like
pero
a technical type, a speed type, or a power type, and then you know where to really go from there as well in terms of building your monsters out. Is there anything that you really wanted to add on this?
I think the other main thing just to touch on is rainbow genes, because rainbow genes are really important because obviously they basically become whatever you want them to be, right? Yeah. So in a situation, sometimes you won't have to use them. Like the Teostra you just had was great because it's like you're going heavily into fire, right? But in a situation like Mizu, for example, where some of the inherent abilities do dance between different element types and different colors, then this would be a great situation, because say if you were trying to get a yellow bingo and you were trying to get like a non-elemental bingo and a water bingo, if you put the rainbow right in the middle, then for the blues it'll become a blue, for the powers it becomes a power, for the elementals it becomes non-elementals it becomes whatever you need it to be. So typically you'll place rainbows in the middle. There are select situations where you might place them somewhere else depending on what the layout is, but effectively this will now allow you to bingo with different colours.
Yeah, so you can see there in the bottom left hand corner I've got a yellow attack there.
Ese es un juego Yangaruga, pero no sirve.
One of the ways that you can bingo, but you can mess around with this a lot and figure out how it works for you. But the rainbow
no es un Yangaruga, pero no.
Bingo with different stuff, which is really cool.
El problema es que sacar el juego perfecto generalmente es muy difícil.
Make sure that you're farming as much as possible because you're going to need them. Get duplicates. I know in these hunting games or these not hunting games, these capturing games and these like monster games that you normally just get like one for your Pokédex or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Kind of leave it at that. But in this one, you're definitely going to need multiples of mods, and I think it's a really good system for you to kind of get in there. But hopefully that explained everything.
Yeah, the only last thing to touch on is just I mean, again, this should be pretty self-explanatory from the way that we explained it before, but just so people know, once you play something, you can't move it. The only way you could technically move it would be by taking that gene off of that monster. So obviously just think before you go, because say for example we had this Mizuchi name building up and it's like level 47, we put a load of things in we like, we're like, oh no, I put the rainbow gene in the wrong place. The only way to move that would be to either put something on top of it or basically take it off, and then in doing so you would lose Mizu. So just remember, once the gene is slotted, you can't move it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Some good skills to look out for are there's one called that is all status resistance. I think it's called Pankia or something. I can't remember what it is actually called. Very good. Health up is decent if you want to boost your monsters. I'm not too sure about critical up, because while I've put critical up on my monster, I don't know how much it's increasing it, because it doesn't seem to increase the rate of critting as much, and there are moves out there that just like clomp anyway and have high critical chance. So you get moves that are just like literally always has a high chance of hitting a critical hit. There's moves from certain monsters that are just crazy damaging, so look out for Nurg's skills. Farm out Nurg, there's an ability there. There's Vengeful Thunder is very good, comes from Astalos.
Este one sabe muchísimo, gente, sabe muchísimo.
All of these like really cool skills, and does like extra damage if you're on low health. What other abilities am I really using? There's Bombing Run, that's on some of the other monsters that kind of inflicts like Blast Bite and all of that stuff. It's really, really good. There's a monster in there that I'm not going to spoil for you guys, but charges up the electricity, pumps up massively, and you can take that ability from this very, very strong monster. and put it onto your electrical type monsters and cause some real destruction out there. So definitely think about doing that, and maybe think about placing your light attacks in there as well. If you're looking to unlock the slots that are locked, then you have to buy. The easiest way to do them is to go to the bottle cap vendor, and from there you can just buy the stimulants to unlock the slots as well, which is very good. Let's just talk through some of these monsters here as examples, because I did set these up and I don't want to waste my time.
Déjenme ver aquí qué onda, la verdad que no sé cuál es. Creo que nunca lo hemos tenido, la verdad. Igual estamos muy básicos todavía, pienso yo, o sea, como que no hemos avanzado, pero no sé si tanto, la verdad. Porque este es o sea, no me lo creo. Un vasario. Este es el vasario es el y es normal, Ditufo. Bueno, el vasario es el dragón de roca, gente. Ese es el vasario. Ojalá salga bueno, porque la verdad que... Suerte, mucha suerte. No lo tengo tampoco, o sea, es uno que no tengo.
This is obviously a fire and strength bingo. This is one of the examples of the
no dejen cuevas de oro botadas, porque si les puede salir algo así como me salió a mí, olvídense. Ahora, no entren a todas las cuevas tampoco, solo las doradas o las de hielo o las más importantes, la verdad. Ahora, para cazar todos los monstruos ya es diferente, pero...
in the middle, and this is an Excel upgraded skill, so this is protection, divine blessing. Oh, this is a very good skill, by the way. Definitely do this. Like, divine blessing procs so much, and it saved me so much times in like PvP battles that I've had, so definitely think about having that. And then obviously you can see another ice and rainbow bingo there as well. Well, the ice and the strength bingo there, which is really good.
Yes.
Yeah. Is there any monsters that in particular that you're thinking about like boosting up?
Así que nada, gente, ya saben, suscríbanse, dejen like, comenten, compartan el canal y los veo en el próximo episodio.